1945, in the 6th year of the Second World War, a single bomb destroyed the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Its stone, etched by heat, which reached thousands of degrees, a monument recorded the passage of the blast. And burned into the pavement was the silhouette of one of the many who perished on that fateful day. Throughout the world, the reaction of press and public to the advent of atomic power was prompt and varied.
Well, what did you think of that bomb we dropped on the Japs, Mrs. Glenn?
Oh, isn't it terrible for all those people? I don't understand it.
Well, it's a great triumph for our American industrial know-how.
The bounds of moral law in producing this diabolical weapon. The public, baffled by talk of protons, neutrons, isotopes, and isobars, flocked to atomic exhibits in search of understanding. At such exhibits, the average person was able to learn such basic facts as that the atom is submicroscopic in size, and that the forces which hold it together are the same as those which keep the universe in balance. Around the particles which form the nucleus of the atom, other electrically charged particles called electrons constantly revolve like planets around the sun. It is within the nucleus itself that the cosmic energy is locked. To release this energy, laboratory machines generating millions of volts bombard the nucleus of the atom with particles, usually neutrons, driven at enormous speed. If the electrical voltage generated is not sufficiently powerful, the particles are deflected. Is raised to the proper amount, the particles reach the speed at which they are able to split the nucleus. It is the sum total of millions of such releases of energy that make up this new source of power. But that this type of power will soon become available to the average citizen is disclaimed by scientists like Harvard's James B. Conant and leading industrial physicists.
That is, I take it, Professor Wheeler, you feel this question of trying to beat the radiation by shielding is just one of those problems that no matter how much research you did on it, looks insoluble. Is that right?
The fundamental principles of the process just simply limit us on what we can do.
Well, therefore, that looks then, I take it everybody's agreed that the use of this power for automobiles and planes seems to be out of the question for technical reasons.
The key to the atom's secrets was first given to the world in 1905, when the genius Albert Einstein defined the relation between all matter and energy and evolved his revolutionary theory of special relativity. Then, in 1919, Lord Rutherford confirmed Einstein's theory by smashing the nitrogen atom. By 1934, Italy's Enrico Fermi and Francis Frederick Joliot had made substantial progress. Meanwhile, in America, scientists like Arthur H. Compton, Harold C. Urey, and Ernest O. Lawrence were carrying on intensive research. In 1939, Lisa Meitner, exiled from Germany, computed the results which could be obtained from splitting uranium. In January of the same year at George Washington University, whose staff had long been alert to developments in atomic research, scientists from several nations gathered for a routine conference heard a report of startling significance.
Word has just come through from Germany by way of Denmark that the German physicists Hahn and Strassmann have just verified that the uranium atom under neutron bombardment actually splits into two parts.
To the scientists, this dramatic news brought a great sense of urgency. Summoning his assistant, Dr. Merle A. Tuve of the Carnegie Institution went at once to his laboratory. Simultaneously with scientists at Columbia, California, and Johns Hopkins, Tuve and his colleagues succeeded within 48 hours in checking the reported findings of the German physicist.
Silver lights. No longer any doubt about it. That uranium is splitting into at least two big parts. Those biggest kicks are nearly 100 million electron volts.
The results verified, Columbia University's Dr. George B. Pegram called these developments to the attention of the Navy Department in Washington.
Yes, we'll be very glad to explain to your people just what the military possibilities of this uranium fission may prove to be.
But to the Navy Department, these laboratory experiments seem to be of no immediate importance.
Very interesting, Doctor. Keep us informed.
Dr. Pegram concentrated on research at Columbia University. Working under his supervision were Dr. Leo Szilard and Dr. Fermi, who were laying the groundwork for a chain reaction in uranium. Encouraged by their successful progress, Szilard discussed with Dr. Einstein in the summer of 1939 the results of their findings and stressed the urgent need for action by the U.S. government. Conscious of the disaster which would inevitably follow if Nazi Germany should be the first to succeed in releasing atomic energy, Dr. Einstein decided to write a personal letter to the President. Within a few days, the historic Einstein letter was taken to Washington by a New York economist, Alexander Sachs, who, through close acquaintance with Mr. Roosevelt's advisors, had easy access to the White House. The letter was immediately brought to the attention of the President. Recognizing the critical significance of Einstein's message, President Roosevelt signed an order appointing the director of the National Bureau of Standards, Dr. Lyman J. Briggs, as chairman of a special advisory committee on uranium. After only one meeting, the committee was able to report that an atomic bomb was a definite possibility. By the following year, the entire U.S. program of uranium research had been placed under the supervision of Dr. Vannevar Bush, able director of the Office of Scientific Research and Development. In December 1941, with the United States at war, Dr. Pegram returned from a fact-finding trip to England and reported his findings to Dr. Bush.
The Germans are certainly working on an atomic bomb. As Harold Urey told you, we learned that they have been receiving the whole output of the big Norwegian heavy water plant. They couldn't have been using it for anything else.
What was your impression of British progress?
Chadwick and the other physicists agree entirely with us that given pure uranium-235, we can make a bomb that will work. They are also confident that it will be practicable to obtain the uranium-235. But they realize that it will run into a big industrial job. England is overtaxed at the present time, and the British are all in favor of having a job done on this side of the water.
Well, we're now all fighting the same war. I'm going to see the President tomorrow. I'm sure that he will agree that the job is done.
Research program, contracts were let to a dozen laboratories for exhaustive study of every method, offering any hope of success. In September 1942, on recommendation of Dr. Bush, the U.S. Army Engineers' newly created Manhattan District, under Major General Leslie R. Groves, was assigned the task of expanding the laboratory experiments into huge industrial projects. Meanwhile, at the University of Chicago, in a secret laboratory set up within the walls of the stadium's squash courts, a dangerous and partly unpredictable experiment was undertaken. Dr. Fermi and his assistants, after months of arduous preparation, achieved the first controlled chain reaction in uranium fission.